Well, there you see that the Montreal Alouettes will be the visitors for the Eskimos' next home game, September the 7th. I mentioned, Leaf, that I never could understand why the punt returner danced around in the end zone. You were a punt returner. What's the reason?
Well, the coaches I had, simply, if you've got the wind in your face, they always want you to try and kill a little extra time off the clock. And why they do it, I guess it's just simply to take a little extra time when you're going into the wind.
Well, that's interesting. Now I've learned something. Holloway's pass is complete, but for a very short gain of about 4 yards. Craig Ellis was the receiver. Craig Schaefer dropped him immediately.
Well, this is the reason why they wanted to get Craig Ellis so desperately, were his pass-catching abilities. Led the Canadian Football League the last 2 years in receiving. That time, not for a whole lot of yardage, only 4 yards. Craig Schaefer up quickly in his second year from Indiana State. He's a rough, tough customer.
Holloway back in the shotgun on 2nd and 6. The ball is at his 39. And he delivers to Cox just beyond his hand.
Boy, he took a shot from number 30, Danny Bass, coming on the blitz. But they sure had the right play called. Conrad Holloway up and healthy after that. You always wonder when he gets hit, but the blitz coming, the middle safety vacates that area. That's when you want to have a post pattern called. They had the right play, but just couldn't connect, and it was because of the heavy pressure.
So Tom Richards will drop back to return this punt. As for the first time in the ball game now, Hank Olisic will be punting into the wind. And it's not a particularly great effort, but he does get a good break on the bounce. Richards picks it up at his 25, dives forward to the 30, and that's where the Eskimos are going to put it into play. Dan, you wanted to say something? We'll get to you in just a moment after I pass along the score. It's Toronto 6, Edmonton 1, and we'll be back in a moment.
Pat and Leif have done a lot of talking about the wind tonight, and who better to talk to about that situation than one of the gentlemen that kicks the football. Lance Chomick was telling us the wind is very brisk, especially up in the air, up high, but it is running almost straight west to east, and that is the kind of alignment that he enjoyed in the first quarter. Now it is Tom Dixon's turn. One more comment from the sidelines. Mark Jackson, cornerback. He says Holloway only dropping back tonight, no run and shoot. All Edmonton defense has been man and uptight.
Well, let's look at the Edmonton offense now as Dunnigan delivers it across the middle to Chris Skinner, and he'll pick up about 5 yards before running into David Marshall, the middle linebacker, and Willie Pless. They've been like the Lone Ranger in Tonto. Where one is, you'll find the other, Marshall and Pless.
Well, it's a good, secure feeling for Matt Dunnigan to be able to have two running backs to catch the football so well, because, quite frankly, none of the receivers have been open downfield, and yet they still have been able to pick up yardage in their passing game because of the backs.
And they do the same thing as Rick House cuts across the middle to the 45-yard line. He has the first down. Carl Brazeley wraps him up at that point.
Well, this is a typical offense used against the Toronto defense that we've seen in any of our games this year when we've covered Toronto. Short passing game, and the Argos seem to give up those little pass plays and not give up the big play. But sooner or later, Dunnigan's got to loosen up that defense a little bit.
Well, in speaking with Jackie Parker yesterday, he told me that Toronto plays virtually all zone.
Yeah, they do.
And that's one of the reasons they seldom give up the big play. Having said that, it was only a great play by Kerry Parker that was able to deflect the ball away from Brian Kelly, because Kelly was well in behind him.
Well, what that does, if anything, is stretch those zones a little farther when you throw a deep pass. Now they can maybe get the Toronto Argonaut corners thinking deep, and those zones will get a little wider, a little more room to operate.
Well, it's been a while since we heard that old Argos with any gusto being yelled, and it is. We're doing that here tonight. It's unfortunate that it rained all day, because it certainly hurt this crowd. Dunnigan's pass was batted down at the line of scrimmage. Rodney Harding, number 77, was there to bat the ball down. Matt is not having one of his all-time great CFL games, and I remember last year when he came in here, it was the same thing.
Well, you know, a team like Toronto can frustrate a quarterback like Matt Dunnigan, because he doesn't mind picking apart and taking the short passes here and there, but, you know, he likes to get that ball downfield and up top on the big ones, and Toronto's not giving him anything, and this could frustrate Matt. He's got to really keep his composure here and stick with a nickel and dime game plan.
Tom Dixon now will be punting with the wind to Chris Woods, number 85, the former Edmonton Eskimo. Woods takes it at the 22-yard line. And he gets it out over the 25 to about the 28. So that's where the Argonauts are going to start with the ball. When we come back, it's Toronto 6, Edmonton 1. We'll return in a moment.
Sometimes, you just can't get a break. Brian Kelly working downfield. There you see Hewitt picked off. He's wide open. Would have made the catch, no problem. But number 77, you see right there, Rodney Harding, big defensive end, got up and knocked that ball down.
Oh, yeah. You got to beat that damn center then. Yeah, let me see. I can't go.
Argos have possession at their 29-yard line. Get it away. Stu Hill, his third sack of the night, is in there to make the stop.
Stu Hill's having a pretty good first half. They used to call him a linebacker. Now they just, and he used to rush every play anyway, so it really was not a correct term for him. Now he called a defensive end what he's supposed to be.
Well, the Argonauts are going to have to change their blocking scheme because Warren Hudson is moving out of there and Hill is coming in virtually untouched.
Well, I'm a little surprised in their blocking scheme because Edmonton, there's no question, they're playing a 4-3 defense. When you play a 4-3, you play what they call big man on big man. That means Stuart Hill is on number 51, Jeff Inglis, who you see leaving the field, but they're somehow getting their blocking assignments mixed up.
Jeff Inglis leaves, but he'll be back, obviously. Dan Peshnig, number 65, comes in to replace him at the right offensive tackle spot. It's second down and about 15 yards to go as Holloway is back in the shotgun again. Pass is caught by Craig Ellis. And Argonauts have a first down to the 45-yard line. Mark Jackson, number 5, was there to make the stop. Good block, incidentally, by Stephen Cox to allow Ellis to pick up 22.
There really was. Nobody picked up Craig Ellis that time, and I like this extra effort. There's number 1. He's scrambling around down the field. Didn't really get the block, but gave it a good effort.
Yeah, I'm taking that compliment back, Steve. It was kind of a lousy block. From the 45-yard line, the Argos begin. First down. And Holloway goes deep. Again, Cox, the intended receiver, couldn't get to the football. Ronald Howard, number 28, was defending on the play. A sophomore from the University of Tennessee.
They only played one game for the Eskimos last year, and that was their semifinal against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Came to training camp this year, has the spot.
So it's 2nd and 10, Argos. Holloway's pass was behind Mike Suraska, and the Argos will be punting again. And this one is less than a nail biter.
Well, that's what happens when you get a lot of pressure on a quarterback. He starts to rush the throw a little bit, and Conrad Holloway quite simply just rushed that pass. There's number 9, Damon Allen. He's the backup quarterback, of course, for the Edmonton Eskimos. He's a pretty good one in his own right. I don't know if he's just having a friendly toss or getting ready to come in.
Let's take a look at Illicit now, punting on 3rd and 10. Pretty good punt. There was good pressure by the Eskimos. Bounces back towards Toronto and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. This will be his shortest punt of the night by far, and one of his shortest of the season. It looked like it was going to be a pretty good punt when it got up there, but then the wind just straightened it right out. 26 yards is all that Hank Illicit got out of that.
Pat, I was just talking with Stefan Jones, and he has an interesting theory to answer your question why there aren't more points tonight. He says that after having played each other once already and so recently, that is advantage defense. He says it's obvious to him the Argonauts know what the Eskimos are going to throw at them, and he thinks it's vice versa. That's why the points are so few and far between tonight.
Well, on that particular play, Stefan Jones was able to break the coverage and pick up about 8 yards.
Well, you heard Pat Marston tell you that primarily the Argonauts stay in a zone coverage, and this is a great play on first down, quick slant pattern. And as soon as he clears that inside safety, Cliff Hewitt, you throw the football. There you see 15. Stefan Jones just got past him and made the catch, fumbled it, but picked it back up. That's a great call on first down.
Paul Tripoli, the newcomer, was there to make the tackle for Toronto, but Jones did manage 9 yards. So it'll be 2nd and 1, Edmonton. The ball is at their 48-yard line. Give us to Chris Johnson, and I don't think he made it. But he's close enough that Jack Parker will probably go for it. Gerald Bayless, number 99, and Willie Pless, 32, were there to bring him down.
Well, that's all you can hope for in short yardage defense is to get some penetration, and they were able to get it that time.
Looks like they're about a foot short. So I'm sure if they went at their own 21-yard line on 3rd and a yard, they're going to go 3rd and a foot with the ball at their 48. We have no idea how much time is remaining in this second quarter because the scoreboard clock has not worked. Dunnigan keeps it himself, and since he only had a foot to go, you've got to know that he picked it up. Just slightly over 4 minutes remaining, I'm told, in the second quarter of play. Argos out in front of Edmonton 6-1. Very, very little offense. Defenses have played well, or so we assume, because they've limited the offense.
It's tough to tell sometimes who's playing well, the defense or the offense isn't playing well at all.
8-2 in first downs, but on the scoreboard it's 6-1. The other way. Dunnigan's pass was very nearly picked off by Kerry Parker, and had he made the catch, there is no way that anybody was going to catch him. Pass was intended for Rick House.
Matt Dunnigan really got excited. He saw the safety blitz coming, Paul Tripoli, and he just exploded a duck out there. Kerry Parker, oh, he should have had this one. That was easy. Easy 6. Look at that thing wobble. Get the shotguns out.
We just had a quick chat with Kerry Parker, too, before he went on the field, and he said that he was convinced the zone coverage was really bothering Matt Dunnigan.
Well, sure it is. And Matt can't be the bomber he wants to be.
This one is picked off by Rodney Harding. And the big guy is down to the 22-yard line. Well, you know what they say. When you throw the football, 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are bad. Dunnigan has been throwing the ball lots tonight, very little of it downfield. And this time he tried to set up a screen, and Rodney Harding was there to make the interception.
Well, he not only tips the ball, his second tip of this first half, but he makes the interception as well. Look at this. He tucks it away. He wants to get the contact. Those big old defensive linemen, they like to run with that thing.
3-11.
So the Argos are in pretty good shape, and we'll find out how they make out when we come back. It's Toronto 6, Edmonton 1. We'll be back in just a moment. 3 minutes and 11 seconds left to play in this second quarter. Argos out in front 6-1, but with a golden opportunity now thanks to that man, Rodney Harding, who picked off the screen pass from Matt Dunnigan, returned it 28 yards to the Edmonton 21-yard line.
Well, he's had himself a good first half. 2 tips, an interception.
So are you saying he's your early vote for the Carling O'Keefe defensive game start?
Right up there.
Holloway's pass is complete to Cox. Spotter Alex Pop and I were just talking. The thing that drives us both crazy is they won't throw the ball down the field. I mean, here you are, first down on the 21-yard line. Go to the end zone with the football. The same thing with Matt Dunnigan. Throw the ball downfield. If it's intercepted, it's as good as a punt anyway. It's 50 yards down the field.
You're the most frustrated coach I've ever heard or listened to.
It's 2nd down and 8 yards to go. Well, I don't know who that one was intended for. It was either Mike Shirosky or Chris Woods.
That's tough to tell. They had the safety blitz coming, and number 28, Ron Howard, coming from the weak side. And Edmonton likes to do this when they get in jeopardy of giving up a touchdown or deep in their own territory. They'll come with that safety blitz. Connie saw it, but he just made a bad pass. Of course, you never know with Chris Woods. He's been known to break his pattern, so.
Well, Lance Chomik has been good on 2 of 2, which is not surprising since he has the best average in the CFL. And this field goal try will come from the 27-yard line. And it is good once again. So thanks to Lance Chomik, the Toronto Argonauts have 9 points. And now lead the Eskimos by 8. It is 9-1, Toronto over Edmonton. Are you still awake, Mr. Pedersen?
I'm awake. But, you know, I'm waiting for something.
2.5 minutes left to play in the second quarter. But it could all turn around in the second half. I mean, we've seen these teams perform, and we saw it when they played in Edmonton.
Yeah, you know, the first half was a little slow to unfold out there as well, and then, boy, did it heat up in the fourth quarter.
Eskimos will force the Argonauts to kick off rather than take the ball at the 35. And we'll remind you that the CFL this week, Thursday and Friday night's games, Dan Matheson will have the highlights for you. We'll also feature Chris Skinner, former Bishop's University star, who's now starring with the Eskimos. And we'll ask the commissioner another question on your behalf. Leaf will have the highlights, or highlight, or whatever.
Well, we could just sit there and do a lot of talking.
Lance Chomik performs the kickoff. Tom Richards with the return, and a good one for the Eskimos to the 45-yard line. So they actually end up gaining 10 yards by electing to force the Argonauts to kick. Carl Brazeley is down. But he gets up under his own steam, so.
Well, he's going to have to go up for one play as Fred Dunbar comes in. The Argonauts are a little thin in that defensive secondary. Number 18, Jerry Nash, will come into the ball game, and I wonder where he will play, if Tripoli will move into that safety spot or they'll leave Nash there. It's been a long time since I saw a secondary with 2 Canadians at the inside halfback spots. I remember one we had in Saskatchewan, a pretty good one. Ken McEachran and Lauren Richardson. Wow.
Dumping off to Chris Skinner. And Skinner picks up about 8 or 9 yards.
Pat, you'll appreciate what Rodney Harding had to tell us. He said Dunnigan is paying the price tonight for being too short. Says he can't see over the rush when they get up good and high, and that's what he attributes the interception to.
Well, strangely enough, Rodney isn't all that tall. He's 6'2". Looks a lot bigger than 6'2".
Well, Matt Dunnigan's 5'11". Probably one of the reasons why he didn't create a lot of interest within the National Football League. Pat told you he broke all of Terry Bradshaw's records. You think that would be enough alone to get interest, but they bypassed him.
Chris Johnstone carried out his fake well. Dunnigan kept it himself. And will be very close to a first down, but the Argos are jumping around, indicating that they stopped him short.
They're doing the Argo glide there.
Well, they're going to do the Argo glide when they score a touchdown, which may be about 3 months from now, the way things are going. But I'm anxious to see what happens when they do get the ball in the end zone, if they do.
Willie Pless, number 32, who you know is always around the football. Didn't fall for the fake of Matt Dunnigan, got in with a pretty good shot. In fact, they've held him short of that first down.
You know, Dan's point is well made, however, about Rodney Harding, because he does have the long arms, and he gets them up in the air, and Dunnigan wouldn't. I mean, it'd be like looking over an elm tree or something.
Well, you know, it's 6'2". He's got a 35-inch sleeve length, probably. He gets those arms up in the air with a jump. He's up well up over 10 feet.
It's third and about a foot to go, with about a minute and a half left in the first half. Dunnigan keeps it himself, and he has the first down. Willie Pless tried to stop him right at the line of scrimmage, but Matt was able to evade his leap and slide in for an extra yard. 9-1. The Argos lead it on 3 field goals from Lance Chomik. Tom Dixon tried a field goal that was wide, and that's the only single point for the Eskimos as the first half nears an end. Dunnigan fires. The pass is complete. Brian Kelly has the first down for Edmonton inside the Toronto 40. Kerry Parker is there to make the tackle for the Argos, number 17.
Let's watch Brian Kelly at work here. He's going to run a hook pattern to the inside, working on number 17, Kerry Parker. Watch him drive him upfield, turn, and work back to the quarterback. Well, he didn't really have to come back too far because Dunnigan threw it before he turned. They need a few more of those.
12 yards the pickup on the 22nd reception of the season for Brian Kelly. Chris Skinner over the middle, should have had it, didn't. And as a result, it'll be 2nd and 10.
And that was just a little too nonchalant. You know, he could have used both hands. You know, 9 times out of 10, he's going to make that catch even with one hand because he's a good receiver. But I think if he'd really concentrated, turned that body around and used both hands, he would have had the catch.
10 out of 19 for only 74 yards. Matt Dunnigan's passing stats tonight. And he'd like to complete one right now as the second quarter winds down. He's got a 2nd and 10 from the Argo 39. Wide open is Brian Kelly for the touchdown. Well, I don't know where Kerry Parker went. I mean, we were as close to Brian Kelly as any Argonaut. 39 yards. The touchdown play, and this is exactly the point that I made about these two ball clubs. You never know when they're going to strike.
Now, somebody really made a mistake. It's tough to tell sometimes what kind of coverage they're in, but Carl Brazeley went with Rick House to the inside, and if they were in a roll-up zone with Kerry Parker taking the short area, that means Brazeley's got to get back to the outside, and I can only assume that's what happened. He got stuck inside with Rick House, and Brian Kelly was turned free. Reminds me of the 1976 Grey Cup that we lost to Ottawa.
And Tony Gabriel scored the touchdown in the dying moments from Tom Clements.
On a defensive mistake.
Of course, if there weren't any defensive mistakes, I mean, the offense would never move the ball.
Well, let's see. Now, there's Kerry Parker, number 17. If he's playing a roll-up zone coverage, now he lets him go. He's done his job. He stays up, but Brian Kelly can't believe he comes so free. Carl Brazeley has to slide over from his inside safety spot. He just never gets there.
See, if I'd been Matt Dunnigan, the quarterback, I'd have been reluctant to throw the football because I would have said, somebody's hiding and I don't see him. Because, I mean, I would not be able to believe that Brian Kelly would be that wide open. But he was. And as a result, the Eskimos are right back in the football game, trailing 9-8 with 58 seconds left to play in this second quarter. Craig Ellis and Darrell Smith. 74 is Darrell Smith. 23 is Craig Ellis. First time we mentioned Darrell Smith's name tonight, and he's the fellow that played very well in that game against Edmonton. I recall he caught a couple of touchdowns.
A couple of touchdowns is right.
Stony Plain, Alberta. Go Esks, go. Well, they certainly went that time. Brian Kelly with the major score. Kickoff bounces out of bounds. The Argos will make them do it again. For Brian Kelly, that was only his second touchdown in 1986. Had a great career, though. This is 8th year from Washington State, and, you know, he's not a big man at 5'9" and 180 pounds, but they say he is very, very reminiscent of the team's general manager these days, Hugh Campbell.
I do believe he broke some of his records in university as well. You know, 1983 was Brian's best year where he caught 104 passes, and what a great year to catch 104. But that year, Terry Greer, who played with the Argonauts, caught 113. He led all the receivers.
So the Eskimos will kick off from the 30-yard line now.
And if I was running down on that kickoff cover team, I'd tell Tom to keep it in bounds. I don't like doing those 50-yard sprints and getting hit.
This is Darrell Smith. Excellent return by the Argonauts. Darrell Smith, as he gets the ball very close to the Toronto 50-yard line before Ronald Howard, number 28, made the stop. A 34-yard return. So we've got a approximately 30 seconds left to play in this second quarter. It's a 9-8 ball game in favor of the Argos.
First down, Argos. Out of more time.
Flag is down. Holloway has a big first down if it stands, but you've got to feel that in all probability, the Argos are going to be called for holding. 43 seconds unofficially left to play in this second quarter.
Pat, we've been talking about scoring points and not scoring points tonight. Rick House says that he doesn't think there'll be a lot of touchdowns tonight because both defenses are playing very well. He credits the Argonaut defense with playing well. He says there's nothing wrong with the Eskimo defense to their offense tonight. And a quick chat with Brian Kelly. He gives Rick House the credit for the touchdown. He says Rick got into that deep zone coverage first, distracted them. He just slid in on a delay.
Thank you, Dan. Warren Hudson was the Argonaut called for holding on that play, which negated the gain by Conrad Holloway as Craig Ellis takes that handoff on the draw play and gets up to the 45-yard line. So he regains 6 of the 10 yards lost before James Bell, number 17, and Craig Schaefer, number 43, were there to make the stop. Argos have had but 2 first downs in the ball game. The Eskimos have had 12.
One of those first downs was on a penalty, I believe, too. Yeah, it's nice to see Brian Kelly give another guy credit when he gets an easy touchdown because Rick House really did make the play.
Eskimos have called for a timeout. And we'll just ask our producer how much time we've got. 38 seconds left in the second quarter. Well, it's a beautiful night for a football game. There's no question about that. Unfortunately, it rained all day in Toronto, and that certainly would have discouraged many people who otherwise would have come, I suspect, because there was so much football talk after the Argos' great come-from-behind victory in Edmonton a few weeks ago. But I don't think it's going to show up at the turnstiles here tonight because the crowd doesn't look to be much more than 24,000, 25,000, if that.
Can't believe Conrad Holloway's played nearly a half of football and only has 43 yards passing. That's been one of the bright spots offensively for them this year, has been their passing game. The rushing game pretty well non-existent. 43 yards, unbelievable.
It's second down, 13 yards to go, Toronto. The ball is at their 46-yard line. The handoff is to Craig Ellis. The ball came loose. Eskimos indicate that they have recovered, and so does referee Jake Ireland say that. So the Argos tried to play it conservatively. It backfires. Larry Ruck made the hit. Matter of fact, Ruck recovered the fumble.
It's unbelievable. You know, you play safe, and it burns you. Watch Craig Ellis take the handoff, and as he cuts back, the ball comes loose. Could not quite see who stripped it loose.
Might have been John Mandrich, number 75, I think.
Nevertheless, it was number 47, Larry Ruck, made the recovery.
So the Eskimos have possession at the Toronto 50-yard line with seconds left in this second quarter. Flanagan fires, and the catch is made. Kerry Parker drilled Brian Kelly out of bounds. But he has the first down at the 38.5-yard line.
Yeah, and he got it out of bounds, too. This is a good throw by Matt Dunnigan. You're throwing a 12-yard out to the wide side of the field. That's something else. That's a great throw.
28 seconds left to play in this second quarter. Lots of time for the Eskimos, who have a first down at the Toronto 39. They trail by a single point. Chris Skinner is inside the 30 to about well, he's very close to the first down marker. Rodney Harding and Don Moan, 77 and 36, make the stop.
It's a good play against the zone defense. The linebackers drop out of there, just dump it off to a back like Chris Skinner and pick up some pretty good yardage. In fact, measurement is needed. It's got almost 10. Nice to get those measurements in these situations. Stop the
Absolutely.
clock, everything perfect.
They come up just inches short, so it's second down.
6 seconds down.
Time is whistled in. Dunnigan hustles the ball club up over the ball. And he throws the ball away with Rodney Harding all over him, and referee Jake Ireland is going to call him for intentional grounding back at the 40-yard line. Well, there's no question that that was Matt's intention. He didn't want to take the loss of yardage,
6 seconds.
but he is now forced to do that. With 8 seconds left,
Loss
Tom
of down.
Dixon comes out.
That's loss of down, too.
So Dixon will try a
Intentional
47-yard field goal.
Edmonton number 16. Third down.
That was the call, intentional grounding.
Chris Skinner's in the area, but really no question what Matt Dunnigan wanted to do. Just get rid of that football and not take the sack.
Dixon's 47-yarder is good. So the Eskimos will take the halftime lead. And that was the final play of the first half of this ball game. The Edmonton Eskimos, who trailed at one time 9-1, will go to the locker room. The score at halftime, Edmonton 11, the Toronto Argonauts 9.
We invite you to stay with us for our upcoming halftime show. The CFL this week will look at the highlights of the other 3 games played this weekend. Doug Mitchell is here for his Ask the Commissioner segment. We will profile Edmonton's Chris Skinner, and Leaf will return with his analysis and highlights. This is the CFL on CTV. Carling O'Keefe Sports, the CFL this week. Hello again, everybody. Tonight's game is the last on the CFL slate for this weekend, so without much further ado, we are going to go to the videotape and check out highlights of the previous 3 games played in Vancouver, Winnipeg, and Montreal. We saw some pretty exciting football. In Winnipeg last night, the Bombers were looking to get back on the rails at the expense of Ottawa, and the return of James Sykes helped. Number 10 scores his second touchdown of the game in the third quarter, taking in the pass from Tom Clements. A 5-yard major, it is 18-6. But now the Bombers start to pour it on. Clements threw for over 400 yards, 19 here to James Murphy. Another touchdown, 25-6. Winnipeg on its way to their 5th win of the year. And Clements can still dance if he has to. He avoids the rush, finds Joe Popusky. The Bombers go in to score again. The final in this game would be 46-14. Meanwhile, it was Hamilton at Montreal Thursday night. Both clubs looking for sole possession of second place in the East. Ticats get on the board first. Kerrigan to DiPietro. It is 7-0 first quarter. But it is the Hamilton defense that makes the difference. Ryan Ransom is intercepted 6 times. Linebacker Ben Zambiazzi does the damage this time, but look at here. He pitches it out to Les Brown. He completes a 71-yard touchdown, 21-9. Mike Kerrigan finds the end zone again for the Tabbies, 11 yards this time to Wayne Lee, his first major of the season. But the main man in this game is Les Brown. He not only scored a touchdown, but intercepts Ransom 4 times, 28-23, the final score. Same night, under the dome in Vancouver, it is BC and Calgary, and time for an upset. Roy DeWalt cannot handle the shotgun snap. Vince Goldsmith can't handle the fumble. Calgary in front to stay 17-14. That, of course, rarely enough against the Lions, so Rick Johnson wants more. He finds Ray Alexander, a 44-yard gain. That sets up another touchdown. Gary Allen caps the drive on 3rd and 1. Stampeders beat a Western opponent for the first time this year. The final score, 30-14. And if you enjoy the singing of the Toronto Argonauts, perhaps you would like to watch them play a little football. They will be featured on our Friday night telecast this coming week when they pay a visit on the Ottawa Rough Riders. Also next weekend, Winnipeg at Saskatchewan on Sunday afternoon, and then a pair of games on Labor Day. Edmonton at Calgary, also in the afternoon, that on CTV. Rounding out the schedule that night, Montreal at Hamilton. This is the CFL on CTV. Halftime continues in a moment. As a running back at Bishop's University, he was runner-up as the most outstanding CIAU football player in 1984. And in that same year, he was claimed in the first round of the CFL draft by the Edmonton Eskimos. Calling O'Keefe Sports, personal and up close with Chris Skinner. Chris is one of the very few Maritimers in the Canadian Football League. He's from St. John, New Brunswick. Site this year, you may recall, of a preseason game between Montreal and Winnipeg. Chris, however, would not have been terribly disappointed if the Western representative had been the Eskimos.
You know what, I was really upset about it in the fact that I had a lot of support back in St. John when I was starting out. A lot of people said I would make it all the way, and I never really believed it. And to be able to go back and play in front of my hometown and to promote the CFL, I thought would have been a great opportunity. I started football at an early age, and started with the Pee Wee level at age 12, and then I worked my way up. Most of the guys in my area would be in Moncton or Nova Scotia that have been in the CFL, like Stuart Fraser and Gene Belleville, who plays for Calgary. And they're the only ones I know of right now from the Maritimes alone that are playing in the CFL.
And being from the East, Chris had every expectation of being drafted by an Eastern team.
Well, I heard rumors that Montreal was looking for a lineman, and they were hoping that some other team would take me as a running back. I didn't expect to be out west. I did expect to be in the east somewhere, but the way things went, Edmonton told me if I was available, they would take me. And when Edmonton had their 3 picks in the first round, I was one of them.
Certainly, Chris has been improving ever since, for which he is very willing to share the credit.
Well, you know, Neil Lumsden and Larry and Milson really helped me out my first year and on the way up. And I just try to tell myself every day that I go out in the practice field or in a game that I would work as hard as I can and try to improve each and every day. And because of it, it worked out well in the end. I was able to improve each game, and I was really contribute to the team.
And one of the benefits of playing for this team is that Chris gets to play fully half his games on real grass.
Oh, I love the grass. The grass at least adds 2 to 3 years to your career. Artificial turf is hard on the joints, the knees, the muscles in your legs. Usually really sore after this.
Comfortable on the turf, Chris and his wife have now become very comfortable in the city of Edmonton, too, where both work.
We haven't even talked about it. Right now, my wife Frances has her own physio lab in Edmonton, and I'm working for Investor Syndicate as a financial planner. So right now, Edmonton is home. We really haven't decided we're going to stay here forever, but right now, we're going to stay in Edmonton. Definitely. There's a big improvement since my first year here with this club. We've grown to know each other very well, and we're improving each year. And I think this is the year we're going to do well. If we can stay healthy throughout the whole year, I think we're going to have a very good season.
Chris Skinner of the Edmonton Eskimos. This is the CFL on CTV. Our halftime continues in a moment.
Moments like these are the result of months of hard work and practice. As a professional athlete, I understand the value of Special Olympics programs for mentally handicapped people. These fitness, recreation, and sport training programs are designed to prepare mentally handicapped athletes for participation in regular community activities. Special Olympics programs deserve your support. Please contact your local chapter.
This message brought to you by the Canadian Football League.
At CNE Stadium, we are at halftime. The Edmonton Eskimos visiting the Toronto Argonauts. Time now for our Ask the Commissioner segment. Doug Mitchell joins us now, and the question comes from Chetwynd, BC. John Dirks writes in, what are the exact procedures for an overtime situation in a CFL game? Doug, there were no overtime games all of last year, and yet that's the year in which overtime was instituted. Give us a little bit of the background.
Well, I think, Dan, we looked at it on the basis that, first of all, our market research, we asked that question when we went out to our fans, and it came back about 75% of them felt that we should be playing overtime, but we were the only professional league in North America that didn't have a provision for eliminating tie games. And then we looked at it also. We wanted to have 1 period of overtime, but we've gone to 2 5-minute periods. And we felt that in the western provinces where you get into a situation with a very windy stadium that it would be equal for both teams if we had 2 5-minute periods rather than one team getting the distinct wind advantage in a short 5-minute overtime period. So we have a 2-minute break after regulation time, then we have one 5-minute period. Each team has a timeout. They then change ends and play another 5-minute period. So in effect, it's 10 minutes of overtime.
Was the wind the big reason that the CFL does not have sudden death?
Well, that's one reason. On the opening kickoff, you might have a single point, or it could end very quickly on the third down punt. So we felt that it would be better off to give both teams a chance to win in overtime.
Doug Mitchell, CFL Commissioner, will answer your questions. Here's the address you can write to the Canadian Football League. Back now to the Eskimos and the Argonauts.
Well, an interesting comment from the commissioner, and I couldn't agree with him more on that situation. I'm glad that they do have the 2 5-minutes, but it would be nice to see it, and it could very well happen tonight. However, here's what happened in the first half. As you can see, both defenses played very well. The Eskimos better than the Argos because they limited Toronto to just 54 yards of offense. The Eskimos picked up 184. Big defensive plays, though. Certainly from a Toronto point of view, there was one particularly important one.
There was, Pat, and I think both defenses played well in the first half. It's not the most exciting football to watch sometimes, but truly the defenses did play well. Rodney Harding, the defensive end for the Argos, he had a great first half, a couple of knockdown passes, and watch here, he's been rushing the passer hard all night, and he comes in and he gets rewarded for his efforts because he's able to tip the ball straight up in the air, not only get the tip, but make the interception as well, tucks it away, and turns into a running back, took it 28 yards, so Toronto had a great opportunity to score. They couldn't get the touchdown, however. Edmonton does come back in the second quarter, and I think it was a mistake in the secondary by the Toronto Argonauts that allows Brian Kelly to be turned loose deep down the sidelines. He told Dan Matheson on the sidelines that Rickhouse had taken Carl Brazeley into the middle. That left him wide open. Edmonton narrowed the gap at that point to 9-8. They do, however, lead now 11-9.
Well, let's have a little fun as we go down to Dan Matheson.
Thanks very much, Pat. The Toronto Argonauts unveiled something a little bit different this week. Defensive back Carl Brazeley spearheaded the effort. He also wrote the lyrics. Linebacker Willie Pless supplies the lead vocals. They call it the Argo Glide. And we have a little sample for you tonight.
Oh, break up game. If you wanna show your pride, stand up and do the Argo Glide. Let the double blue take you for a ride. Shake your booties to the Argo Glide. Argo Glide. Argo Glide. Argo Glide. Whoa, Argo Glide. Whoa, Argo Glide.
Well, pretty good song. It's sure to be a bestseller if the Argos can win some football games now. Carl Brazeley wrote that. I think that's pretty good.
You know what? It's got a great melody. You can't really tell what kind of results it's going to have in Toronto, but it's a catchy tune, and, you know, if the Argos can put a string of victories together, I'm sure that song will take off just as well.
Once again, the Edmonton kickoff goes out of bounds, and so the Argos will request that they do it over again. Toronto will have the wind here in the third quarter. It's not a bad idea to take the wind when you have the opportunity, because it can change in about 10 minutes down here on the shores of Lake Ontario.
You know, whenever a kick goes out of bounds, I always look right to the kicker to see if he's really mad at himself or he was just trying to put it into a dead spot in the return team's return, and Dixon just slapped himself on the thigh. He just, quite frankly, kicked it out of bounds. It's the second time it's happened to him, and not a lot of fun for the guys running down underneath it.
Conrad Holloway warming up on the sidelines in anticipation of having half-decent field position. Let's see what happens. Again, it goes toward the sideline. This time, Darrell Smith will have to handle it. Well, that's a great return. Did you see all the nifty moves he made, dipsy-doodling down the sideline, and he gets into Edmonton territory at the 54-yard line.
Yeah, he made a great move to get by number 18, Jeff Volpe, and the youngster's going to learn that he has to gather himself to make those tackles. Conrad Holloway coming back in to start this second half.
And if you want to read about Conrad Holloway or any of the players in the Canadian Football League, this is the book you should have. It's got all the statistics, present and past, and you can get it for $14.95 at leading bookstores, or $14.95 plus $3 handling charges by writing to the league offices. Holloway could not find his intended receiver, Chris Woods, open on the sideline, so he pulled it down and ran for about 7 or 8 yards. Tom Tuanay and Danny Bass, 88 and 30, combined on the tackle.
Something Conrad's, I'm sure, does not want to do too often, but just elected not to throw the ball to Woods and take off instead. Got pretty good yardage, though.
Pickup was very close to 8 yards. There's the pass that Holloway was looking for in the previous play. He completes it to Chris Woods. He simply did a slant in and makes the catch and is down at the 30-yard line by Gary Thompson. The pickup is 17 yards as the Argos come out firing here in this second half.
That's a pretty good offensive scheme, too. He overloaded to the wide side of the field, and 9 times out of 10 on the weaker short side, you're going to get one-on-one coverage, and that's a pretty good bet, Chris Woods on Gary Thompson.
Holloway's pass is caught by Cox at the 24-yard line. Jeff Volpe, number 18, was there to make the stop.
I believe that's the first catch of the night for number 1, Steve Cox, and he's healthy, and second catch of the night. But he's healthy, back in the lineup, and he's played slot back and wide receiver, much more comfortable at the wide receiver spot. You know, you don't have to think and read as much coverage out there, and of course, when you're not thinking when you're running, you run a little quicker.
Jeff Volpe is the injured Edmonton Eskimo. But he appears to be all right. He'll have to leave, however, for at least one play, as Greg Harding, number 4, comes in to replace him. So the pickup was 6 yards. It is second down, 4 yards to go. Toronto, as Holloway is back in the shotgun once again. Chris Woods, the receiver, down to the 5-yard line. Gary Thompson makes the stop, but not before Chris Woods picks up 19 yards.
Yeah, this was the matchup, if you'll remember, out in Edmonton that really was successful for the Argonauts. Chris Woods working against number 19, Gary Thompson, and that time a clear-out pattern by Mike Sarashka. Chris Woods comes in underneath on the end, and perfect throw by Conrich Holloway.
First down, goal to go, Argos. The ball is at the Edmonton 5. For Woods over his head. A little pushing and shoving going on between James Zachary and Kelvin Prunster.
Conrich Holloway really wanted to go left with that, and an outlet pass to Chris Woods just went over his head. The guy's been pushing and shoving in that first half, and the big boys get a little excited.
Jeff Volpe's back into the ball game. Greg Harding comes out. Well, Holloway thought that it had opened up for him sufficiently to pick up the necessary yardage, but what he didn't see was Tom Tuanay coming from his blind side, and Tuanay made the tackle at the Edmonton 3-yard line.
The crowd wants him to go for it, but yes, got to kick the field goal here. Bring Lance Chomick in.
Sure. I mean, you're going to take the lead if he's good, and he's the most consistent kicker in the CFL, so you certainly expect him to make a 10-yard field goal, which is, you know, just a point after, really.
The Argonauts on that second down play really overloaded to one side, and they've been so successful the last few years with their run and shoot style offense of getting those picks and opening up a couple of guys that time. The teams have seen it so often. Edmonton had a defense perfectly.
Argos were a man short on that field goal team. Yeah, see, this isn't going to hurt them, of course, but it's a time count violation, and it's one that, I mean, well, you've got to look askance at and say, listen, the guys who are supposed to be on the field should be on the field.
Well, they should, but, I mean, they make the good move. If you're short a guy, take the time count, especially when you're down there. It's not a tough field goal to make. Well, when I played, it usually cost you about $50 when you missed a team, so half a yard, not bad.
I mean, it's not as though that you have, I mean, you know, if you know you're supposed to be on the field goal team, shouldn't you be out there? I mean, unless you've taken a shot in the head, and you don't realize there's a game going on.
Time count violation, Toronto number 4. Third down.
But it really doesn't make any difference because the ball will now be spotted at the 15-yard line. is good. So Lance Chomick has all of the Toronto Argonaut points, 4 field goals. The Argos are back in front of the Edmonton Eskimos, 12-11. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, these teams do play close games, don't they? The Argonauts back in front, 12-11.
Now, is that the Argo bounce doing the Argo glide?
May well be. We're going to see the Argo glide if they ever get a touchdown, but the way things are going, Lance Chomick has been responsible for all of Toronto's 12 points. He's 4 for 4 in the field goals. If I'm not mistaken, that makes him about 19 of 21 on the season. Dunnigan's pass is caught by Stefan Jones at the 47 or 48-yard line, and that'll be a first down. Made the catch in front of Marcellus Green, the cornerback on that side, number 21. 19 of 21 is Lance Chomick in field goals as you take a look at the diving grab by Stefan Jones. On the draw, Chris Skinner gets by the line of scrimmage and gets to the 50-yard line, but number 99, Gerald Bayless, was there to make the stop.
Marshall made the tackle.
Well, we talked about his quickness, and that's what you have to have on a draw play. Take on that block, fight it off, and then make the tackle. I've been impressed with him so far in this ball game. Now it's as simple as this. They have to get some pass rush, and they hope number 99, Gerald Bayless, can add that to their defense.
Bayless is a newcomer from the USFL from southern Mississippi. Braisley came flying through there and didn't get the tackle on Dunnigan, and as a result, Matt took off and picks up the first down out to the 50-yard line. He looked like Batman and Robin or something. He just came flying through the air, and Matt just sidestepped him.
Looked like Bob Beeman coming through there on the long jump. Here he goes. Look at that. But, you know, Matt Dunnigan hasn't been doing this too often in 1986, but there was the perfect opportunity to run with the football. He's only averaging about 4.3 yards a carry, but a much-needed first down was picked up right there.
Ball at the Toronto 50-yard line. Well, they had the good call. Nelson Jones fumbles the football. The Argos have recovered at the 45. Argos were blitzing. Dunnigan made the draw call to Nelson Jones. David Marshall recovers the fumble by the Edmonton Eskimo running back.
Well, they get Paul Tripoli coming right up the middle on a safety blitz now. He can't make the tackle, but it's number 9, Gerald Bayless, that strips the ball loose, and there's 73, David Marshall, the middle linebacker, to make the covering.
So the Argos have the football, and they also have the lead, 12-11 over Edmonton. We'll be back in just a moment. 9 minutes and 10 seconds left to play in the third quarter. The Toronto Argonauts, capitalizing on yet another Edmonton turnover, have possession at their 45-yard line. Holloway just swings it out to Darrell Smith, and Smith is driven out by Mark Jackson at about the Toronto 54-yard line, which will leave him about a yard short.
Darrell Smith, as we mentioned earlier, 2 big touchdown catches in their first meeting this year.
Is only 2 of the season, incidentally.
Yeah, only 9 catches coming into this game. But you know what? In university, he had 18 touchdowns one year, and that led the entire nation. Central State.
Well, they had a little problem with the yardsticks on the touchline right underneath us here.
Can you see them okay?
Well, no, but that'll teach them, you see, to move them from sideline to sideline again. Second down, a yard to go for the Argos at their 54-yard line. The clock is now operating on the scoreboard with 8 minutes and 57 seconds left. Jake Ireland had to perform major surgery over there, but he finally gets it done. And the Argos will come up with a second and a yard to go. It's been a very strange football game. No question that the defenses have played well. But how much the offense has aided them, who can say? Craig Ellis has the first down for the Argos as he crosses midfield into Edmonton territory.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Willie Thomas, number 61, is not too happy.
Rodney Harding, the big guy, number 77, was acting as a peacemaker. And he got everybody quieted down, so no penalty marker is thrown. The yardsticks are moved, and the Argos have a first down at the Edmonton 53.
Now, here we go. Here's the start of Stampede Wrestling. Willie Thomas in a one-fall victory over number 75, John Mandrich.
And Mandrich will be back. You can count on that. Chris Woods tried to make a diving catch in front of Gary Thompson, but he wasn't able to come up with the ball. Well, the Argo cheerleaders are a little happier right now because the Argos are back in front, 12-11. But let me assure that young lady that this thing can swing back and forth a number of times before this one is over. And it's funny, as Dan Matheson mentioned, neither coach can explain why they play such close games and why the Eskimos cannot win here at Exhibition Stadium. Except they're playing very well right now. Dan Bass with the fourth quarterback sack of the night for the Eskimos. Stu Hill was in to help out as well, number 36. Danny Bass, number 30, gets the sack, and Holloway is very slow getting to his feet.
Well, anytime Conrad Holloway goes down with a sack, you always hold your breath, but Edmonton Eskimos on second down situation coming with the blitz as they have done most of the evening, and that time number 30, Dan Bass, gets in for the sack. You know, they played a 3-4 defense for quite a while in Edmonton, and Danny Bass was, of course, one of those inside linebackers, and I don't think he was nearly as effective as he is now back in that 4-3. He's the middle linebacker. He has a lot of freedom to range and roam around out there, and he's really playing well.
Puts one into orbit. This one hits 5 yards deep in the end zone, and it just bounces over the dead ball line, and the Argos pick up another single. So now it's Toronto 13, Edmonton 11 with 7:07 left to play in the third quarter. A 78-yard punt by the leading punter in the CFL, Hank Halisser, the former Edmonton Eskimo. There's a little nip in the air as we take a look at the fact that the Toronto Argonauts will be in Ottawa to meet the Rough Riders. I can't figure out that Ottawa team at all. One day they look good defensively. The next game they get blown out. It'll be a barn burner, though, because Ottawa always loves to play against Toronto. Wide open, Stephan Jones is down to the Toronto 33-yard line. Well, again, there had to be a mix-up in the coverage because if Mann had put the ball a little further, nobody was going to catch Stephan Jones. 42 yards, the pass.
Well, you can only assume that when he's that wide open that there has been a mix-up, Pat, but that was number 21, Marcellus Green on that side, working with Cliff Hewitt, and, well, you never know. You can't second-guess them because you don't know what kind of coverage they've called all the time, but they sure turned them loose.
The ball is at the 33-yard line of the Argos. Now, Dunnigan did an awful lot of running, and he only got back to the line of scrimmage, but he showed you the kind of athlete that he is. He never took his eyes from his intended receivers downfield, saw that they were covered, just pulled the ball in, and took off and outran about 3 or 4 Argonauts.
Well, it was good coverage. You'll see it at the end on the top right corner. There's Brian Kelly working against Kerry Parker. Parker was all over him, and Dunnigan had no choice.
So let's make it 2nd and 10 again. Swing it out to Milson Jones. Well, the Argos are happy with that. Milson Jones gets the ball into the middle of the field, but Marlon Jones was there to drag him down, number 90. And we'll see Tom Dixon.
It's really great pursuit by number 90 defensive end Marlon Jones on the swing pass, gets out and makes the tackle. And they're happy to have him back in the game. He'd missed a few games with stretched knee ligaments. But, you know, he was an outside linebacker in university for a few years, and that's got to help with his containment and quickness.
Well, there's no questioning the fact that he is a very quick man. for his size, 6'4" and 240. Dixon's 36-yarder is wide. Well, that's been the difference in the ball game. Tom Dixon has had problems with his field goal kicking. That's the second one he's missed. Lance Chomick has not missed. He has 4 field goals. So the Argos continue to lead it. Now it's only a point again. Toronto 13, Eskimos 12, and we'll be back in a moment.
According to Edmonton Eskimo linebacker Danny Bass, the Argonauts simply gave the Eskimo defense fits last time they played. They've made a lot of changes in their coverage coming into tonight's game, and obviously it's worked pretty well so far. Argonauts do not have a touchdown. They're using a lot of double coverage, a lot of zone, and mixing it up with a little bit of man just to put Conbridge off balance.
Pass is complete to Chris Woods. Well, he is quick. He turned a decent gain into a pretty good one. Picks up the first down out to the 47-yard line.
Comes up limping a little bit, but that's almost the same pass pattern that they completed, only that the last one was a little longer in Edmonton. And watch it, it's the same kind of move to the inside fake and get back outside number 19, Gary Thompson.
He also decided to go outside when he saw Danny Bass look at him in the eyeball on the inside.
Get to that sideline in a hurry.
Holloway's pass is caught for a gain of about 5 yards. And again, that was Chris Woods. Woods has had recurring leg injuries. He is a track guy, and
the track guys always seem to be hobbling around. Sprinters' legs, the hamstrings are always tight. But they need him, and they need him healthy. He's going to have to play with a little pain.
Coming into this ball game, Chris Woods had 22 receptions, and he's increased that by 4 tonight.
Yeah, nice average, too. 17.3. That's a nice average for your wide receiver.
Craig Ellis has the first down for the Argos and gets to the Edmonton 45-yard line before Gary Thompson really horse-collars him. Ellis has very good quick speed right off the mark, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's an exciting back, and he's just as good running the football as he is catching it. Watch number 85, too. Chris Woods gets enough of a block on Gary Thompson to get Craig Ellis a few extra yards, but he's really given a rough treatment down the sidelines. But, he runs hard. He's a hard runner. He's a 200-pounder. He's good size.
Some people will say, well, what is that idiot Marsden talking about quick speed? He starts quickly. And on the screen pass, Bob Bronk just puts his head down. Now, he'd love that. He ran headlong into Danny Bass. Bass would love it. They had good contact. And more importantly, from Bob Bronk's point of view, the Argos have a big first down to the 29-yard line.
Yeah, there's a few guys around the league that love this kind of stuff. Jan Carinci of BC, he's another one. Here's another one. Bob Bronk, 34 from Queens. Watch this straight ahead. He sees Danny Bass, and he says, oh, this ought to be great. Bang. No way he's going to try and get around him. I want to run through him, over him any way I can.
It was nice seeing Jan Carinci had such an outstanding game last week against the Ottawa Rough Riders. This is Craig Ellis once again. Oh, boy, what a back this guy is. Ellis will be very close to another Toronto first down, and in fact has one. Dan Ferroni is the injured, Kelvin Prunster is the injured Toronto Argonaut.
Yeah, and he made a pretty good block. Watch 23 Ellis, and Prunster's running on a trap play from his left tackle spot. He gives him a good block. Nice cut by Ellis, and a couple of good moves. Geez, Argonauts put a nice drive here together.
They've looked much better in this third quarter. Ball is at the Edmonton 17-yard line. First down, Toronto. Sharaska, the rookie from the University of Calgary, just dove through the air to make a sensational grab. Everybody was covered. Holloway could find no one open, and watch what happens. There's the Argo glide.
Yeah, you see him grab the football, too. That's his first touchdown as a professional. He's not too excited, is he?
Well, he deserves to be. Boy, that was a great catch.
Yeah, it really was. Well, we saw him a few years ago in the Vanier Cup, and he played very well. And there's your score before the extra point, but he's got the crowd here at Exhibition Stadium pretty excited with that great catch.
Actually, that will be the score after Lance Chomick kicks this one through. It is 20-12. unless there was one missed in one of the games out west, the BC Calgary game, I don't think there's been a point after missed in the CFL in 1986.
Well, coming into this game, Mike Sarashka had not caught a pass for the Toronto Argonauts tonight. He's made a couple and a big diving touchdown catch right there, and great throw by Holloway.
Well, it's amazing. Edmonton has had the football more of the ball game than the Argos have, yet the Argos lead at 20-12 with 2:10 left to play in this third quarter. Matt Danigan has completed 16 of 25 for 191 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Conrad Holloway has completed 13 of 20 for 148 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. So Hank Olisic will kick with the wind at his back. He did not kick into the wind of the second quarter when the Argos were forced to kick off. That was left to Lance Chomick. So the Argos have opened up an 8-point lead now. It's amazing the success they've had here against Edmonton. Stephan Jones from his 5-yard line. And Jones runs right into the arms of Kerry Parker, number 17.
Well, you can see the emotion really changing hands here. The Argonauts with that good, solid touchdown drive really came down hard under that kickoff. And Kerry Parker, a nice wrap-up job on Stephan Jones and takes him out of bounds. And the Argonauts, they're excited now. They're playing with a little more emotion.
Well, that was a big play by Kerry Parker because he has contained the Eskimos inside their 25-yard line. Eskimos have lost only twice all season, the same as the BC Lions. Dunnigan waited, Skinner stopped running, and as a result, the ball was beyond him.
But they're really forcing Matt Dunnigan into that kind of thing. We've seen him throw to the back so many times tonight, and the defense is playing a zone as we expect. They're squeezing down those passing lanes, and then you've got to dump the ball off. How about Mike Sarashka? Rookie out of Calgary, first big touchdown catch, and what a catch it was.
2nd and 10 for the Eskimos, who'd like to get something going here against the wind. As they'd like to hold on to the ball a little longer so the Argos don't have advantage of the wind. Well, Dunnigan would not throw it. There is a penalty marker down on the field, however. David Marshall was there to make the tackle for Toronto, number 73. And let's see what the marker is.
I think it's against Edmonton. They pointed that way.
Offside, Edmonton number 70. Decline, 3rd down.
So Brian Kelly jumped the gun a little too quickly, and the Argos declined the penalty.
He knows it, too. You can see that. When he jumped offside, he just started shaking his head.
See, that was a really big defensive stand for the Argos, because now they're going to have the wind at their back for another minute and 10 seconds. If the Eskimos have been able to get a first down, that one was touched. Penalty marker is down. They're going to call contacting the kicker as Chris Woods takes it and goes right down at the 45-yard line. I got the feeling the ball was touched. You'll have to wait and see that.
Yeah, Cliff Hewitt, number 15, really comes in and has a great chance to block this kick. Don Bone had a good chance earlier. You're going to have a good look at it. Number 15, here he comes. Well, he might have got a piece of it.
Well,
tough to tell.
I don't know how you call that contacting the kicker, to be honest with you.
Well, there's a rule. Is there not an unintentional contact? Or?
Oh, yeah, but I mean, he didn't do anything. He just, ran right by him.
Toronto number 15. 3rd down repeated.
Well, to each his own, and they're all judgment calls, but let's look at it. His foot went into Cliff Hewitt, is what happened. Jake Ireland, I don't agree with the call. And I'm sure that won't bother you, but it certainly will bother the Argonauts because the Eskimos have now picked up a first down. The penalty had brought it to within 6 inches of the first down, and then the Eskimos kept the football and now have moved the yardsticks.
Cliff Hewitt getting his first chance to have a starting assignment tonight at the inside safety spot. Really went after that kick hard, and the fans here are voicing their displeasure.
First down, Eskimos. The ball is just outside their 35. 10 seconds left in the third quarter. Donegan fires. It's complete to Rick House. And House is wrapped up as he got to about the 44-yard line. Argos are really fired up. But House will bring Edmonton to within a yard of another first down. David Marshall and Cliff Hewitt were there to make the stop.
Well, they're really forcing Edmonton to throw those underneath patterns. There's no way they're going to get the ball downfield. So they have to take what they can get.
And they got 9 yards as the third quarter comes to an end with the Toronto Argonauts out in front of the Edmonton Eskimos 20-12. We'll return with the fourth quarter in a moment. The Eskimos' Chris Johnson took the handoff from quarterback Matt Dunnigan as we begin play here in the fourth quarter and picked up the necessary yardage for an Edmonton first down. Here's the way the scoring has gone. It was 6-0 Toronto at the end of the first quarter. 11-9 Edmonton at the half. 20-12 is the way we stand right now as we begin the fourth quarter of play. First down, Eskimos. The ball is outside their 45-yard line. Dunnigan airs it out, looking for Brian Kelly. Oh, and he tried to make a fingertip catch. Unfortunately for him, it just went off his hands. Kerry Parker was on the coverage. Would have been an outstanding grab.
But you know, watch Kerry Parker. Those last few steps, Kelly was in behind him, but he really accelerates, and I think he must have affected Kelly a little bit, but Brian made a heck of an effort to come up with that catch.
And Brian has made many catches like that one. That's not a knock against him. It's a tribute to his great ability.
Would not be unusual for him to come up with that one.
No.
Stats after 3 quarters of play, the Edmonton Eskimos still out in front in that department, 270-189. 3 big turnovers.
Marco Sinkar makes the catch because gambling on the play was Paul Tripoli. And if you're going to take that gamble, you're supposed to come up with the football. He did not, and the ball went right into Sinkar's arms down at the Toronto 42-yard line, a gain of 23.
Well, when you play as much zone as Toronto does, you have to try and squeeze down those lanes. That time they just couldn't squeeze it down fast enough, and Marco Sinkar made a nice catch.
Good concentration by the University of Alberta grad Marco Sinkar as the Eskimos are on the move. On the draw, this is Chris Skinner. Chris never really did get his shoulders turned upfield. He's dropped at the 35-yard line by Rodney Harding, number 77, after a gain of about 6 yards.
Trap play and the handoff to Chris Skinner. There's number 68, Rudy Phillips, coming around the corner. And, oh, how many times did we see him do that in Ottawa? When I can see it right now, him pulling and coming around the corner, and Skip Walker right behind.
There's Valerie right in front of the crowd here at Toronto's Exhibition Stadium. And the Argo Sunshine Girls. Dunnigan with the toss to Skinner. He's got the first down and more inside the Toronto 30 to the 27-yard line. Paul Tripoli makes the stop for the Argos.
Well, this is the kind of play where the quarterback can really take a lick when he gets rid of that football. And Matt Dunnigan really took a good shot from number 90, Marlon Jones, as he releases the ball, but Chris Skinner does a good job, follows the block of Leo Blanchard. That's a nice-looking play.
They tried it earlier in the ball game, and Skinner couldn't find the handle, so they had to turn it over to the Argos. But right now, the Eskimos looking good as Milson Jones is stopped as he gets to the line of scrimmage. Rodney Harding, one of those there. So too is Willie Pless, number 32, the Argos' very active linebacker.
Pat, you were talking about Chris Skinner. I had a quick chat with him at the change of ends, and he was telling me something interesting about the Edmonton offense. He says they're very temperamental, and they get into mental lapses. He says the third quarter, he was certain that they were sitting around waiting for the wind. He says, you watch us in the fourth, we'll come alive again.
Well, interesting. They're certainly moving the football well right now. It's 2nd and 9. Dunnigan going to a wide open Stephan Jones for the touchdown. Well, maybe that's one of the problems when you insert two new people into your secondary. 27 yards, the touchdown pass from Matt Denigan to Stefan Jones.
Now, this is a mistake by number 21, Marcellus Green, because Paul Tripoli, the middle safety, is coming on a blitz. There's no question. It's got to be man-to-man coverage, and he just made a big mistake.
I mean, just wide open.
Yeah, that's happened too many times tonight. Marcellus Green had to have him in man-to-man. When you blitz, well, you can play zone behind, but that wasn't the occasion there, and that's a pretty easy touchdown for Stefan Jones. They will go for 2 points now, trailing by 2.
And Matt doesn't get a chance to get the ball away. Swarmed under by Rodney Harding among many. Also there was Marlon Jones. But the Eskimos went for the 2, didn't get it, so they will trail the Argos 20-18 when we come back in just a moment. Well, not surprising, we've got a heck of a football game right now. The Argos lead the Edmonton Eskimos by 2 points, 20-18. But the Eskimos have shown you here in the fourth quarter that they're ready to strike at any time. There's another mistake by the Argos. They let the ball bounce. Craig Ellis. And by the time he corrals it, the cover team of the Eskimos are on top of him, and he only gets it back to the 25. Football is an amazing game, though, Leaf, and you played it at the high school level, at the university level, and at the pro level. It's amazing to me the ebb and flow of, you know, the old thing called momentum.
Yeah, I think so too, Pat. You know what? I thought Dan made a good point where Chris Kinner said that they were kind of just waiting for the fourth quarter to get the win. I've been through that before. You kind of just say to yourself psychologically, if we can just get through the third quarter and stay close, we've got the wind at our back in the fourth. That's when we're going to save our energy and turn it on. And I think this is a perfect example of that.
Toronto has the ball first down at its own 26. There was absolutely no room for Craig Ellis. James Zachary brought him down back to the line of scrimmage, number 92.
So, too, linebacker Mike McLean was in there so quickly that play just never had a chance to develop. You know, conversely, defensively for Edmonton, now they've got the wind at their back, so they know Toronto may want to run the ball a little more, so it makes it a little bit easier to play defense, too.
Loss on that play was about 3 yards, so it's 2nd and 13. Holloway in the shotgun. And he's going deep, looking for Craig Ellis, but he overthrows him. There were 2 men back with him, Danny Bass and number 45, Mike McLean. The Argos will be punting, and now the Eskimos are going to get the ball in pretty decent field position.
You know, the game is so psychological, though. It's definitely the up or swing side now is with Edmonton, and Toronto's on the downside because they've got to fight that wind, and players think about that all the time.
Well, just to give you an idea how strong that wind is, when I came into the park, it blew my one hair all over my head.
No.
Yeah, it did. It was just really blowing up a storm. They tried to kick it away from Stefan Jones. He picks it up at the 50-yard line. Oh, this kid can fly. And he is into Toronto territory at the 48-yard line. Stefan Jones is finally brought down by David Marshall. But boy, the Eskimos are in business, trailing by just 2 points. Toronto 20, Eskimos 18. We'll be back in a moment. The Eskimos will play host to the Montreal Alouettes on Sunday, September the 7th at 2 o'clock in Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. If you're going to be out there, why not take in that ball game? Eskimos, really an exciting club to watch. Matt Denigan, I would pay to see him every day of the week.
I like that new running back with the Montreal Alouettes. Harry Sidney, was that his name?
Yeah, he
was impressive.
First down, Eskimos. They throw the screen to Stefan Jones, and he sidesteps Don Moan to get to the 41 or 42-yard line for a pickup of about 6.
Boy, he's got some moves when he catches that football. Stefan Jones made a great play on that punt return.
This thing could go right down, just as it did in Edmonton, to the final play.
You know, you folks at home may wonder why Matt Dunnigan looks at his wrist every time he goes in the huddle. Well, he's got a short list of plays typed on a piece of paper there, and he's just kind of selecting one.
And he's one of the few quarterbacks that does call his own plays, too. Chris Skinner, the ball carrier, runs into Rodney Harding very close to the first down marker.
You know, if I was a defensive player and I was tackling him, I'd be grabbing at that thing, trying to rip it off.
Well, first of all, if you were a defensive player, I wouldn't like your chances of making the tackle.
You're so mean.
Get down low. Get that motherfucker.
Well, he comes up a full yard short, but you know the Eskimos are going to go for it. Ball is at the 38.5-yard line. So they bring in the short yardage big guys. Clock is moving too. It's 8 minutes and 56 seconds left to play in the ball game. Eskimos with 3rd and a yard to go at the Argo 38.5. Dunnigan keeps it, and he should have the first down. Every time they've needed a yard or whatever on 3rd down, Dunnigan has kept it himself. Argos have called for the yardsticks to come back up, but certainly from our vantage point, Matt Dunnigan picked up the first down. They tell me that Matt is just a great, great citizen out there, too. Works in so many charitable things.
He's involved with the Special Olympics, I know for sure. He was in that calendar that they had last year where all the money and proceeds went to the Special Olympics.
And like so many other great stars, Edmonton is such a, it's such a great place to live. So many of them stay there, and Matt Dunnigan is one of those on this club, one of many who stay there.
Yeah, Tom Tuanay, he stays there, and there's a number of other fellas that do as well. Danny Bass stays there.
On the draw. Wilson Jones gets to about the 32-yard line, so he'll have a pickup of about 5. It was Chris Skinner, actually, not Nelson Jones. David Marshall, 73, and Rodney Harding, 77, make the stop. So 35 instead of 34. Picks up the 5 yards for the Eskimos. Dunnigan faked the draw, hid the ball nicely, and now looks for Rick House. He may have jumped a fraction of a second too soon. The ball went over his head. Carl Bracely was defending for the Argos.
That's probably the toughest pass pattern to cover for an inside safety. When that slot back comes all the way across the field, you've just got to trail him and hope that you make that quarterback throw it high enough by staying right on his hip. And of course, Carl Bracely couldn't have played it any better.
So now Tom Dixon, who has missed 2 field goals tonight, will have an opportunity of putting the Eskimos back in front. It will be a 40-yard field goal try. And again, it is wide. Well, there is no question that Lance Chomick has outkicked Tom Dixon tonight. It goes for a single point, so now the Argos lead it by only 1 with 7:25 left. Toronto 20, Edmonton 19. We'll be back in a moment. When I was a young fellow growing up in Ottawa, the game we always looked forward to were the Toronto Argonauts coming to Lansdowne Park, because you knew it was going to be a great football game, and that's where we will be on Friday night. CFL on CTV's Friday Night Football will come to you from the nation's capital. The Argonauts leading by a point over the Eskimos start from their 35-yard line. 7 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in regulation time. Holloway's pass is caught by Chris Woods at the 48-yard line. He'll have an Argonaut first down. Jeff Volpe, number 18, was there to make the stop along with Gary Thompson.
It's a nice 3-man pass pattern to the short side of the field that time. A clear out by Craig Ellison, and Chris Woods just comes into that vacated area with the hook pattern, makes a nice catch in front of Gary Thompson.
First down Argos at their 48. Going deep, looking for Woods just beyond him. Gary Thompson was with him step for step.
Once again, Conrad Holloway paid the price for standing in and throwing that long bomb. Mike McLean came in and gave him a pretty good shot, but good coverage by Gary Thompson. Well, that's been an interesting matchup in the 2 games between these 2 teams. It seems like they're always on the same side of the field together and really have had a good battle. You always like to give a former teammate a rough ride, too. So Chris Woods and Gary Thompson teammates last year, of course.
Holloway again going deep. This one over the hands of Darrell Smith, but a penalty marker comes down. Ronald Howard is going to be called for pass interference. Smith would not have gotten to that ball anyway, I don't think. However, what a break for the Argos.
Now, Ronnie Howard, you see, he's not too happy about that call, but he tried to cut in underneath Darrell Smith and got his feet tangled up with Smith's and knocked him down, and you've got to call it.
The ball is at the Edmonton 34.5-yard line with 6 minutes left to play in the 4th quarter.
We're going to see the end of this. Watch Howard. He tries to cut across in front and trips up Darrell Smith.
This is the screen pass to Bob Bronk. And Bronk will be very close to another first down as they will spot it at the 24-yard line. And Bronk is still down.
Well, he landed right on that yard marker as the officials on the sideline, whenever the players get close to them, they throw the yard markers down on the ground. And as Bob Bronk hit the turf, he landed right on that yard marker. We're going to have a look at it one more time. It's an excellent call to screen to Bob Bronk 34, but he's being ridden out of bounds by number 47, Larry Ruck. And watch that yard marker. They land right on top of it. Although I really don't think that's what caused the problems for him.
Matter of fact, I think Ruck landed harder on the yard marker.
I think you're right.
But Bronk did pick up the first down. A gain of 11 into the Edmonton 24-yard line.
Sharing the fullback duties this year with young Warren Hudson. Bob Bronk, primarily known as a good blocking fullback.
First down, Toronto. They lead it by a single point with 5 minutes and 35 seconds left to play in the 4th quarter. Holloway drops back into the shotgun again. The pass intended for Chris Woods goes incomplete. It really is every time that Holloway drops into the shotgun.
You know, they've got to change the blocking schemes up front because they're just turning a linebacker loose. That time it was 45 Mike McLean. He just came free. Nobody touched him. And if you're going to have a hot offense where you don't block linebackers, you better hit your receivers quickly. Watch these guys. They're all running deep downfield. They don't realize that the linebackers aren't being blocked, and you can't win with that kind of offense. Your quarterback's going to get killed.
Yeah, I'll tell you something else they've got to do. They got to get Willie Thomas to get the ball back to Conrad without him having to go left.
Well, it's an adventure every time Conrad goes to catch it, but you know, Conrad's time and time cannot stand in and throw the football when he's going to just take a clean shot on the front side from a linebacker.
Well, they work on Conrad's right now. Let's see who Bob Obilovich will elect to go to.
Let's have a look now. Here comes 45 Mike McLean, and just as Holloway's totally extended in the most vulnerable position he could be in, takes that helmet right up in the rib cage.
See, with Bob Bronk out of there, Bronk is certainly a big protector for that Toronto quarterback. He's a good blocking back. But whether or not the scheme calls for the fullback to stay in there and block, who knows?
Well, in the offensive set that they were in, they just did not have anybody over on that side to pick up a blitzing linebacker. And if that's the case, you've got to hit your receivers quick, but they ran a deep pattern.
Well, J.C. Watts is taking the snaps right now on the sidelines, so let's see if he gets the call. He was listed number 3 on the depth chart behind Norman Gibbs. But it would appear that we are going to see J.C. as Mike Shirosky comes back onto the field. You know, a lot of people would say, why did the Argos go out and get J.C. Watts and also Tim Cowan? This is one of the reasons. We were talking to Leo Cahill before the ball game. I said, did you get the guys in order to swing the trade further down the line? He said, not at all. We want the three of them on our roster.
And have a look at the shot again. Watch, Holloway is in the most vulnerable spot he can be in. And there goes that shoulder inside of the helmet right up into the ribcage.
Poor Conrad, you know, he gives everything he's got. He's not a very big man. He's a very courageous fellow. But he's had so many injuries. You have to wonder, how long can he keep doing this to his body? J.C. Watts comes onto the field after getting a high five from Conrad Holloway. And it'll be a 2nd and 10 situation facing the former Ottawa Rough Rider quarterback. Ball is at the 24-yard line. Well, Edmonton, of course, has played against J.C. Watts. Mike McLean, who has good speed himself, simply knew that Watts would take off and try to run the football. And he does run it very well, but he didn't outrun these guys tonight.
Now, Danny Bass was right there as well, and really no intention of throwing the ball downfield. You have to wonder how much of the offense that JC's been able to grasp since he's been with the Argonauts. But I find it funny, the Ottawa Rough Riders were happy to get rid of him, get rid of the contract, and yet in Toronto they're extremely pleased to have him.
Mind you, Ottawa had him for a few years, so maybe the fans down there know something the fans up here don't know. The field goal, once again by Lance Chomick, is good. That's his 5th tonight. Where would the Argos be without him? But the Eskimos don't mind that one too much, I suspect, because they didn't want to give up the major score. They just give up the 3, and now they trail by only 4 points. Toronto 23, Edmonton 19, with 4 minutes and 41 seconds left to play in the 4th quarter. Well, this thing could go to overtime. The Eskimos are liable to score a touchdown, which would then put them 3 points up. And the Argonauts are liable to come back and score the field goal that would tie it, and we'd have our first overtime game ever in regular season CFL play.
Once again, Lance Chomick will be in to do the kickoff duties, and I suspect into the wind they've got their place kicker in there just to put it into an area, a soft spot between the blocking wedge and maybe the deep receivers back there, rather than have Hank try and just hammer one high up into the wind.
Not a bad night, for Lance Chomick. There's a fellow who really, his future was in doubt early last season, but he came on. But, I mean, he's just been great since they awarded him the job full time. The ball goes out of bounds. And they'll have to do it over again. But as Leaf explained, that's the reason why they've got Chomick in there. They don't want the high kickoff that can be returned a great distance. Freddie Dunbar, my idol. Freddie and I go to the same workout place. We've got 4 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the 4th quarter. It is Toronto 23, Edmonton 19. 6-0 at the end of the 1st quarter for the Argonauts, 11-9 at halftime for the Edmonton Eskimos, and 20-12 for Toronto at the end of the 3rd. Stefan Jones and Tom Richards back to return this kickoff. This one bounces to Jones at his 24. He takes it straight up the middle and gets to the 45-yard line. That's where the Eskimos will put it into play with 4:36 left in the 4th quarter.
I think when we consider our Carling O'Keefe game stars, Lance Chomick would have to come to mind with his 5 field goals.
The Argos wouldn't have much offense without him, would they? But this is where I love watching Matt Dunnigan in action. The game is on the line right now. Stephan Jones faked inside, picked up the necessary half step on Cliff Hewitt and got to the outside and into Toronto territory at the 40-yard line, forced out by Marcellus Green.
Boy, there have been some guys wide open tonight. I mean, with nobody within 10, 15 yards of them. And that time, Stephan Jones couldn't believe how open he was when he caught this football. Matt Dunnigan, a lot of time to throw. Good protection up front. Of course, he was able to wait, and then finally find Stephan Jones.
25 yards the pickup. First down, Eskimos. On the draw, this is Chris Skinner. And Skinner could not get by Marcellus Green.
Pretty good collision there with Don Moen and Rudy Phillips as Big Rudy came around the corner.
Rudy gets up limping a little bit, too.
Don Moen ducked underneath him.
And, of course, the Eskimos have been trendsetters in the past, so it's not surprising to see that they have inserted an American offensive lineman. I note now that Calgary has done the same thing, so we're liable to see more imports back in that offensive line. And second down and 4. Dunnigan looks. Intended for Rick House. There was a collision, but there is no flag. Paul Tripoli collided with Rick House, the intended receiver.
Well, it was he got in behind Carl Brazeley, but that's what your middle safety is supposed to do. He's the center fielder out there, and that's his play, and he made it. This has been the tough side for Tom Dixon. All his misses have been from this left hash marker just inside it.
Matt Dunnigan is the holder. Remember that. The field goal will be spotted at the 42-yard line. And again, it is wide. Tripoli is forced out of the end zone with 2 minutes and 48 seconds left. This is a game that Tom Dixon will hopefully forget quickly because it's been a tough one for him. Toronto 23, Edmonton 20. 2:48 left in the game. We'll be back in a moment.
The word from Freddie Dunbar about Condredge Holloway is that he has at least a bruised shoulder on his throwing arm, perhaps more rib injury. He will not return to this ball game. This is J.C. Watt's game from here on in.
And that means 2 minutes and 48 seconds because that is the time remaining in the fourth quarter. Toronto 23, Edmonton 20. And every time these clubs meet, you get the same story. Close ball games. J.C. Watts, until last week, a member of the Ottawa Rough Riders, now at the controls of the Toronto Argonauts. The toss goes to Craig Ellis. And Ellis will have about 8 yards. Well, there was a great block out there for Toronto.
Dan Ferroni, number 69.
Number 69.
Yeah, he got a great block on 75. Defensive tackle Jim Mandrich. There's Craig Ellis. Watch him cut in. 66 Prinster does a good job. And there's the good kick-out block by number 69, Dan Ferroni. Boy, you know, especially with JC in now as a backup quarterback, you just love to be able to run that football. Pick up a couple of first downs. 2:21 remaining. Eat a little time on that clock.
It's second down. About 2 yards to go for the first down. Well, he didn't get the first down. The handoff went to Craig Ellis. Now it's third down. And I would say a full yard to go. What do you do, Coach? Do you punt?
Well, I don't know. This is where Obi earns his money. 17, James Bell in on the tackle along with middle linebacker number 30, Danny Bass.
Well, they're going to punt, and I think that's a good decision because with Hank Olisic, I mean, you should be able to at least pick up 40 yards on the punt, but then again, with Stephan Jones back there, he's liable to return it all the way. His average is 51 yards, and his average tonight is 51 yards, so he's right on his seasonal mark. Now, this is a beauty. It hangs high. Jones is forced back to his 20, drops the football.
Nick Yarko's got it.
Well, they certainly signal that they have, and that is the case. Stefan Jones could not handle a terrific punt by Hank Olisic. And as a result, fumbles it. The Argos. Cliff Hewitt recovers at the 15-yard line. A 48-yard boot into a severe wind by Hank Olisic. Bobo Bilovich decided not to gamble on 3rd and a yard. He called on the man who has been so great all season long. And Olisic delivers.
Stefan Jones never could find the handle. There's Warren Hudson down there, but 15, Cliff Hewitt. Johnny on the spot, and he really plays those special teams well. He gets rewarded with a big fumble recovery.
4th turnover of the ball game by the Eskimos, the biggest yet. The toss goes to Ellis. Ellis is inside the 10 at about the 9.
Ellis, the ball game. Jackson made the tackle.
Tom Tuanay's just slid out from that defensive end spot, number 88, made the tackle, and there's Cliff Hewitt, number 15, getting a chance to start tonight. Been around for 3 years, but really never had a good chance to start. Tonight he gets it, but he plays those special teams extremely well for the Argonauts.
A Canadian youngster who went to school in the States and had a tough call against him. He was called for contacting the kicker, which could have been a big play in this ball game. JC looks, wanted to throw initially, and then he's sacked back at the 18-yard line with a minute 13. Stuart Hill, who has really played well for the Eskimos tonight, was there to make the stop. Danny Bass was in his face as well. So with a minute and 13 seconds, and the Argos leading it by 3, Lance Chomick comes back into the ball game. And again, the Eskimos have to be delighted that the Argos were not able to get the touchdown. Timeout is called by the Eskimos. Because let's face it, they're still in the ball game. Eskimos, even if Chomick comes through, and you would expect that he would, he's had 5 field goals already. Eskimos will only be down by 6.
No, I think they'd be very happy to give up the field goal after that fumble Stefan Jones lost.
Memory serves me correctly, Dave Ridgway is the CFL record holder for most field goals.
I think he is. I'm trying to think. Is it
well,
7?
Bobby Layton, our statistician, is looking it up right now. 7. Now let's make it 8. Dave Ridgway of Saskatchewan against the Ottawa Rough Riders.
We did that game.
Yeah.
I remember that.
1984.
Uh-huh.
So this will be attempt number 6. He's 5 for 5. And is the reason that the Argonauts are leading the football game. Good move, however, by the Eskimos. They've stopped the clock with a minute 13 left to play in the 4th quarter, so they will have a shot at it. They'll have at least a minute 10. J.C. Watts, of course, is a new holder for Lance Chomick. Chomick is good once again. 6 for 6 in the field goal department. And the Argos take a 6-point lead. Chomick has 21 field goals on the season.
21 to 23, I believe. Not too shabby.
He's 21 out of 23 and is by far the leader in that department.
Well, really, there's been no secret to the success of the Argonauts, and a few of their wins this year has been directly related to the kicking game, the punting of Hank Olisic, of course, the reliable field goal kicking of Lance Chomick, which had been a sorry spot for them in the past. They've really solidified.
1:10 left to play in the ball game. Toronto 26, Edmonton 20. Number 25, Tom Richards, and number 78, Stefan Jones, are back to return this kickoff. But Lance Chomick is in the ball game to try to squib it. Hank Olisic is in there now. So obviously what they want is as much distance on this thing as they can get now.
They put a few extra guys back Edmonton that can handle a ball, like Rick House and Steve Howlett in there in case they dribble it.
Well, this one is a great kickoff by Olisic. Back to the 5-yard line is Tom Richards. And Richards is dropped as he crosses the 25 to the 27 with 1:05 left to play. Willie Pless was down very quickly to make the tackle for the Argonauts.
What a smart move by Bob Avilovich having Hank Olisic in there, because with that change that the Edmonton Eskimos made, sending a few guys that can handle a football back, they just had no blocking at all.
Well, if the Argos hang on to win this, what an important victory for them. It would be their 5th against 3 losses. And there is no doubt that they are the class of the Eastern Conference again. Over the middle to Nelson Jones. And Jones is down to the 46-yard line. The clock will stop momentarily until they move the yardsticks. David Marshall was there. This thing is coming right down to the wire.
That's a great finish.
From their own 45-yard line with the clock running and 50 seconds left in the 4th quarter. Dunnigan's pass is caught by Stefan Jones, but Stefan turned into the traffic. Now a penalty marker comes down, and likely a face mask penalty against the Argos with 43 seconds, and that will stop the clock.
Now, you know, this could drive coaches crazy. If Stefan Jones goes out of bounds like he should have done, they'll never get the face masking penalty, but he stays in, and now they get a break.
It's a major foul down to the 37-yard line.
Oh,
let's listen.
Major foul, face mask, Toronto number 73. First down.
David Marshall, the middle linebacker, called for face mask, and the ball is now at the Toronto 37-yard line with 43 seconds left to play in the quarter.
Well, there you see it, no question about it, but what a big break for Edmonton. 2 plays, they've moved a long way.
Flag is down. Pass is caught by Rick House at the 25-yard line. If it stands, it'll be another Eskimo first down. But it's against the Eskimos. Procedure penalty.
Procedure, Edmonton number 63. First down.
Heck Poitier, the left tackle. Second time this evening. 38 seconds left to play in the 4th quarter. Toronto leads it by 6. Dunnigan is 23 of 36 for 315 yards. Carries it himself down to the 33-yard line, which will bring up a second down. But this is how smart this young man is. There was nobody open. He knows it's only first down. He gets back the penalty and a few more yards. He's got second down. They will not huddle now, and they have the ball at the Toronto 33-yard line. And down to the 23-yard line goes Tom Richards. Richards on the reception gives Edmonton another first down, and the clock is stopped momentarily with 22 seconds left.
Well, I'm so impressed with the composure of this entire offense. You know, they just get ready in that, what they call a fire drill. Nobody's excited. They're going to get the signals, and let's get the job done.
Over the middle to Nelson Jones to the 15-yard line. Tackle made by the middle linebacker, David Marshall.
All right, they got 12 seconds left. They got 2 plays, maybe 3 if they really hurry. I believe they still have the timeout left.
No, they called it back here.
Okay, they got to hurry now.
Dunnigan to the sideline. Stefan Jones could not make the catch at the 8-yard line, and now there are 5 seconds left to play. This will be it. The final gasp for the Edmonton Eskimos. This has really been an impressive march by Matt Dunnigan. And he's now within 15 yards of tying the ball game and giving Tom Dixon an opportunity of winning it. "69 yards, the march so far, but it doesn't mean anything unless they can cap it off right now. No good. Carl Braisley was there to make sure that the pass was not completed. And the Toronto Argonauts Argonauts, with their fans going wild, escape with a 26-20 decision over the Edmonton Eskimos in a game that ended up being just as exciting as the last one.
You know who did the big job there was 17 Terry Parker, because there was no doubt when you got the game on the line who you go to. You go to number 70, Brian Kelly. He's your big gunner over the year, but number 17, Terry Parker, would just not let him get open. Dunnigan had no choice but just in desperation to almost throw it away.
Well, a good football game. It ends with the Toronto Argonauts registering their 5th victory of 1986 and the Edmonton Eskimos suffering their 3rd loss. Final score, Toronto 26, Edmonton 20. We'll be back in a moment. And now, the Carling O'Keefe Sports offensive and defensive game stars as selected by our broadcast crew. From the Toronto Argonauts, field goal kicker Lance Chomick is the offensive star. And from the Argos, defensive end Rodney Harding is the defensive star. Each of tonight's outstanding players will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce solid gold coin presented by Nikon for once-in-a-lifetime shots. The Nikon Touch, the simplest Nikon 35mm ever. And by Tilly, bringing together quality and creativity in all their products, from their line of personal leather goods right through to their travel wear. This is CTV's Football.
The final score in Toronto, the Argonauts beat the Edmonton Eskimos 26-20. There are the game stats. You can see they heavily favor the Eskimos, certainly in terms of total offense. 27 first downs to 13, 333 yards passing, 113 yards on the ground. All those totals exceed that of the Toronto Argonauts. But what the Eskimos did not have tonight was Lance Chomick. He was successful on 6 consecutive field goal attempts, and certainly those 18 points made the difference. And the turnovers, 4 in favor of the Argonauts, 2 of which they converted into scoring points. Once again, the final score tonight was 26-20. The Argonauts' record is now 5-3, same as the Eskimos. Next week, CTV Friday Nighter has the Argonauts in Ottawa. The Riders are 2-6. From all of us here in Toronto, good night.